All right, just like last time, I want you to follow along as I go through the PowerPoint. All right, so we're going to talk about text structures because that's our next standard for your grade. All right, so text structures are used in nonfiction writing. That's things that are true. Text structure refers to how the author organizes the information. So it's how they write. And there are 5 text structures: description, sequence, compare and contrast, cause and effect, and problem and solution. Today we're going to focus on description and sequence. So starting with description. Description is when the author uses a lot of detail to almost create a picture for you about the topic. So a way to know that it's description is to look at it and find these signal words. These tell us that it's description. For example, to illustrate, for instance, such as, to begin with, another, and there are many more than that. Those are just 6 to help you. So for each text structure, there is a visual. So like a graphic organizer that you can put the paragraph into. So a lot of times I'll give you the paragraph, ask you to tell me what the text structure is, and then put it into the visual. When I ask you to put it into the visual, I mean this right here. And each text structure has a different one. So for description, we use what we call the web or the spider web. You've seen this many times. So with the description paragraph, you should be able to make this web. So you'll start with your topic, and then you'll branch out to your details, okay? Sometimes this looks different compared to depending on what kind of paragraph it is. So this is a basic one. Sometimes you might have a topic and 3 details, and then even these details can go even more into smaller details. Usually if there's paragraphs, each paragraph has a different detail. That's a good way to know. So on question 6, where it says draw the visual, this is what I want you to draw. All right, so I'm going to read you this example paragraph, and then you're going to answer some questions. So, soccer is one of the most popular sports in the world. Millions of people play soccer. It is a fairly simple game to learn. Players try to move the ball down the field and kick it into their goal. However, a goalie stands in front of the goal and tries to block any shot the other team makes. If a team gets the ball in the goal, they score 1 point. Players need to know the rules. You are not allowed to touch the ball with your hands unless you are the goalie, or you are throwing the ball onto the field from the sideline. You are also not allowed to tackle other players. The referee watches to make sure each player follows the rules. To play soccer, you need just a few items. You need to have a ball, a large area of grass, and goals. Many players wear special shoes called cleats. These shoes have points on the bottom to help players run without slipping. Many players also wear shin guards to protect a player's legs from getting kicked. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is figure out what's the topic of this example paragraph. Okay, so I would say that the topic is probably soccer. We're talking about soccer, different things about soccer. So in your bubble map on the next page on question 8, your middle square, your middle circle, is going to be soccer. That's our topic. Now we need to figure out these. What's this paragraph talking about? The first paragraph, simple game to learn, you move the ball. I think it's telling us how we play the game of soccer. So paragraph 1 would be how the game is played. The second paragraph says the players need to know the rules. Usually if you read the topic sentence, the first sentence, it will kind of tell you. Not allowed to touch the ball, the goalies throw the ball. I think this is talking about the rules. So we have how the game is played. Now paragraph 2 is about the rules. Go back and look at paragraph 3. To play soccer, you need just a few items. You have to have a ball, a large area of grass, goals, special shoes. This is talking about what we need to play the game. So we have how to play the game, the rules, and then paragraph 3 is telling us the clothing and equipment that we need to play the game. Now, I could go even further into how each of these and say how the game's played. All the rules that they tell us, what equipment we need. Those would be our details of our details. All right, so describe below what makes this paragraph a descriptive structure. First of all, it's giving me details of soccer. I can easily put it into a spider web. It's not telling me timeline or anything. It's not comparing. I see that it's just telling me about soccer. It's giving me details. I'm learning how soccer works. I'm learning how it's played, the rules, and what I need to play soccer. I see that we have some signal words here. For example, it's telling me, it's painting a pretty good picture about everything that I need. It goes in detail. There are tons of details. And once we learn all the other text structures, I would see that by process of elimination, it's not the other ones. So we have that done. Make sure you have that on question 8. And then question 9, I just answered for you about how it is description. Analyzing, which means breaking into pieces, what it is that makes it a descriptive paragraph. All right. So moving on. There are several genres of fiction books. For example, realistic fiction books are not real, but the plot of the book could really happen. Tangerine by Edward Bloor is an example of a realistic fiction book. It's about a visually impaired boy in middle school who loves soccer. Another type, historical fiction books, are set in the past and are often based on events that really did occur in history. Roll of Thunder, Hear Me Cry by Mildred Taylor is a historical fiction book about a black family living in the 1930s who faced discrimination. In addition, science fiction books are set in the future, and they usually include a scientific reasoning. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins is an example of science fiction. Science fiction is quickly becoming the most popular series of all for kids. These are just a few of the genres available on library and classroom bookshelves. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is find the signal words. So I would go back to the page where I wrote down the descriptive signal words. I think that's question 5. And I see that we have, for example, another, in addition, and example. So this right away tells me that this is a descriptive paragraph. And once I learned all the other 5 types, I would be able to eliminate the others. So now I would like you to write down those signal words and then put this into a visual. You'll see that this is a much bigger one. I have you do the details of the details. So I want you to pause the video and try to see if you can look at this paragraph and put it into the visual, the spider map. All right, so our topic is the genres of fiction. That's our step 1. Then I go through each paragraph. Paragraph 1 was about realistic fiction. Paragraph 2 is about historical fiction. Make sure you're checking your answers and changing. Paragraph 3 is science fiction. Then now I go and do the details of the details. For realistic fiction, it told me that it's not real, but it could happen. And Tangerine by Ed Bloor was their example. Historical fiction, past events that did happen, and their example was Roll of Thunder, Hear Me Cry. Science fiction, set in the future with scientific reasoning, and their example was The Hunger Games. All right, now what I'd like you to do is make sure you have all of the description questions filled out and that you understand description. We will have a quiz on Monday or Tuesday. And go ahead and move on to the sequence video, please.